Accessing library computer data.
Out there are no saints. Just people.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. We're continuing running through Deep Space Nine. We're up to Rivals, which is episode 11 of the second season. First aired on January 2nd, 1994. It was teleplay goes to Joe Menosky, story credit goes to Jim Trombetta and Michael Piller. It was directed by David Livingston. In this episode, Quark feels threatened when a con artist arrives on the station and opens up a competing bar. Meanwhile, Chief O'Brien is determined to beat Dr. Bashir at racquetball. We're joined by Modi. Modi, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good, not too bad. Ready to talk about Rivals. We have our own rivalry going, right? As competing YouTube channels, not really competing, but if
that's what it is.
We can build off of that. And
we got something to relate to.
Yeah. We can. I actually saw myself every time I looked at Chris Sarandon's face. I just said, "There's me, just out there, just being a rival."
Okay, good.
Let's see here. I don't think there's much opening information about this one. It's basically just a lighthearted little romp that has to do with rivalry, as the title deals with rivals. But anyway, we're going to take a break. We're going to play an audio clip, and me and Modi are going to come back, and we're going to break down Rivals.
Good workout?
Oh, medical school. Captain of the team at medical school.
Who are you talking about?
Bashir.
You had a game?
No, he had a game. I just kind of stumbled around the court for 90 minutes and made a complete arse of myself.
I'm sure he didn't see it that way.
The hell he didn't. That smug look on his face. I guess you prefer old-style rules. Like I was some kind of fossil. My day I could have wiped the cord with him.
That's a point. You're not a kid anymore. It's nothing to be ashamed of. People just naturally slow down.
Oh, like molasses in winter, huh? Thanks.
Miles, you're taking this way too seriously.
I'm out of shape, that's all. I just need to get my wind back. Sector champion, my eye. He's vulnerable to every one of my best shots. I just couldn't get them there. This time.
All right, so Rivals. I don't know where do you want to start off with what you thought about this one, or did you enjoy it on some level when you watched it?
I did actually. I think it's pretty. Aside from the bad ending, like bad plot resolution for it, which is kind of techno babble kind of resolution for everything. I did like the writing of it. I thought the dialogue was very good. I thought I just like con artist stuff, I guess, in general.
Yeah.
So I like seeing duplicitous characters and trying to figure out their motives and what their game is. And as soon as you introduce a con artist, I'm already like trying to spot every single con in the entire thing.
Yeah.
And there's multiple in this one, which was fun. So, yeah.
I think that it's a very lighthearted episode. It has a really unique tone that's unlike anything else that I think I've seen so far in the series, where the tone almost feels like a late 80s Cheers style sitcom on some level.
Yes.
It's very like comfortable, and you get a sense of the station that I don't think we've seen so far, like what life on the station is kind of like outside of the senior officers doing stuff. And I don't think it's a bad episode. I don't find it super enthralling, but I don't find it like to be offensive or like a bad time. I do feel it's a little bit lackluster. It was written by Joe Menosky, and it kind of fits a lot of Joe Menosky scripts, which is this really good idea that doesn't really get going by the end of it. And here you had mentioned that the plot resolution wrap up, where they figure out that these machines are causing like the probability of the universe inside the station to be altered, so that people either have very good probability, very good luck, basically, or very bad luck.
Which is pretty dumb.
It's pretty dumb. It felt almost like magic to me in a way that Star Trek doesn't feel like magic all the time, and this felt very much like magic. Was that your problem, or was it just the resolution was too tidy?
That was it. The resolution was just nonsense.
Shoot the machines.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like but the entire like way they figured it out, and I liked everything up until the point where they're trying to explain it. That's why it is magic at the end. You're right. It's everything's fun up until they have to try to explain what's going on.
I don't even understand why people like playing the game so much.
It doesn't make any sense either. Well, I get why people like playing games. You see like all these little Facebook games and stuff like that. Like it's just a dopamine injection. Like
it is, but isn't it just a bright light shining in your face? Like
yes, that's all it is.
I didn't really.
But you're winning at it though. You feel lucky when you do it. It feels like you have meaning in the universe because this game thinks you're good enough.
Yeah, I guess so. It's a little bit. And so what do you make of the guy who delivers that purple ball in the first place? That alien that dies.
I thought I really wanted them to do more with that. So I'll tell you my alternate theory. My alternate when I see a con artist film or movie or anything like that, I always try to find every single person that's conning. And I thought this guy was a con artist too. In that I thought it was actually Odo disguised as this guy giving this thing to Prince Humperdinck.
Yep.
Because the way it would kind of torture him, because it's a thing he would start to use and think of his luck, and then all of a sudden it would run out at some point, and he would attribute everything he's doing to bad luck, and then feel like he's lost in the universe because he's been depending on this object for so much luck in his life. Yeah. I thought it was Odo as a plant in the cell with him, because the guy just shows up out of the blue and it gives him this thing. So I really thought it was going to go deeper with the cons and have a turn like that, but unfortunately it did not go that direction, which I don't know. I think my version sounds more interesting, but
no, he's just a Deus Ex Machina, basically.
Yeah.
He just exists to insert this little purple ball, which is funny at the time because my kid is now old enough. Like he every time he sees a ball, he says ball. So he was watching this episode sort of on in the background, just pointing at the screen, constantly saying ball. I had to turn the volume up on the TV so I could drown him out. But the
as usual,
the introduction of that little machine. It does feel a little bit too magical, although I think that the lighthearted nature of the episode allows that, and I think it's important for the show to have these kind of episodes. I just don't think that this one is particularly good. I do like the con artist aspect, and I think that this is probably Quark's best storyline on some sense, because it's not dealing with the other Ferengi, and he's on the ropes the entire runtime, really. He's having to work against
it's
something.
Good to see him. Yeah, it's good to see him having to battle somebody else like this in this way.
And I think that maybe a major part of the problem I have with it is that I don't think the guest actor, who's Prince Humperdinck from Princess Bride, I don't think he's really very good here. I think you needed to go big with this character.
Yeah, it was kind of a reserved thing because he was his character. They put him as a listener, kind of character, and
El-Orians,
so I mean, I don't know. I don't mind the performance actually. I think he's a pretty decent actor, and I think you can see. I think you can see why they cast him in it. I think he's good in the role. So
yeah, because he has to kind of play a not a womanizer, but like a male, a guy who takes advantage of like wealthy women, kind of like he has to be charismatic and charming on that level. He is in the script. He's described as an El-Orian. So this is actually, I think it's the first mention of the El-Orians because Star Trek Generations came out after this, and that's when Guinan's race was given a name. He was originally meant to be Guinan's son in this.
Interesting.
And they took that out because Whoopi Goldberg was not able to appear in the episode, so they just kind of X'd it out. But they kept his reference as a listener, in which it's kind of one of those things. I wish that the focus on the El-Orians had been done a little bit stronger, because it is interesting to have a duplicitous member of that race, because it's a very evil superpower, kind of.
Yeah, it is.
You let people hang themselves with their own rope.
Yeah, you just sit back and let them do all the talking.
Yeah,
and
you just let them
prodding
talk.
them forward with questions. And you can see with Guinan too. She's not doing it in an evil sort of sense, but she is a listener as well. It is very much someone that is very engaged listening is what their superpower is, which is an odd thing to have. I mean, anybody could do that, but nobody does.
Yeah. Do you think that they have some kind of ability, or are they just charismatic people?
I'm guessing it's a culture thing, not a super like ability or anything like that. It's just that's how they are.
Okay.
Their culture is more listening,
built around it. Yeah. So when El-Orians live together, does anyone talk? I guess would be the problem.
Yeah, probably don't need to. Yeah.
Who talks in that case? I thought that the because of the Quark storyline is good. Rom going over to work with the guy is good. Rom has a bunch of funny lines when he's trying to explain like his growing up with Quark, what that was like. That was pretty funny. But I do think that I think we disagree a little bit. I do think that Sarandon's role as Martus, or whatever that guy's name is, should have been, he needs to be a little bit more broad maybe on this kind of a comedy episode. Like, I just found a lot of the scenes with him not particularly interesting.
Yeah, I think they could. I think he's even capable of doing it, because there's scenes in Princess Bride where he does go broad with the character a little bit more of the over the top anger he gets in the later scenes of that, and the cowardice he gets later on in the film.
Yeah,
he is capable of doing it. Maybe it just wasn't good enough directed. Maybe.
The other aspect that the other storyline that's going on is the O'Brien and Bashir story. I guess it's the B story technically.
Yeah.
Here, I enjoy it more than the Quark. The Quark rivalry storyline, because this is the O'Brien-Bashir rivalry where the description says that they're playing racquetball, but it's not racquetball. I don't think
they call it racquetball though. I called it space squash, but they do call it racquetball in the episode. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize they call it racquetball in the episode. I feel like it's not a standard racquetball court, so I don't
Definitely
know.
Definitely not.
And but I enjoyed this one. I thought it was good. I think it's good to see those two together. What'd you think?
Yeah, I thought I was like kind of joking at first. I thought this was a terrible idea for a B story, that this is going to be this O'Brien comes to terms with aging kind of thing. I'm glad it tied back into the main plot in an interesting way. But yeah, I did like the rivalry. It was an interesting take on it to see both sides of it, because you see Julian like, I don't want to embarrass this guy kind of thing, and then O'Brien just stewing about it to Keiko.
I think it was
pretty good.
It's smart that they balanced it like that.
Yeah.
I think they didn't just make it either the O'Brien POV or the Bashir POV, but they both have a good reason for not wanting to play against each other and wanting to play against each other. So it feels the conflict there feels very natural in a way that it doesn't always. And I think that you really get a sense of like O'Brien has kind of an angry edge. O'Brien has his like stereotypical sort of Irish temper, I think, about things like this. He's fairly threatening towards Bashir at one point when Bashir tries to throw the first game, and O'Brien's like, you either play or you get the hell out of here, and then he storms out. It's good.
He's very competitive. Like it doesn't shine through immediately, because at first you're like, oh, he's like he's just practicing by himself, and Bashir comes in and he seems reluctant to play at first, but then as soon as he starts, he gets ultra competitive about it, and maybe that's the reason he wants to start in the first place, because he knows what he's capable of when he gets obsessed with it like that.
He knows he's 38 or whatever they say in this episode. I think Dax pegs him at 38 years old. But yeah, they do a good job with the design between them. Like O'Brien's wearing just sort of like cruddy old shorts and like a rugby shirt to play this game,
and the headband at the very end was vital.
She says it's a silk headband too, which is a little bit odd. I don't know if that's some kind of cultural reference, but the Bashir is dressed up in like the sort of super into its spin instructor way. Like he's very
really
just
funny,
to the nines.
Actually. Yeah.
And
he's way too into it. Wants to play classic rules. He's like, oh, okay, sure, if that's what you want to do. I mean, I love the classic rules too. No problem.
It leads to good the O'Brien's scenes too, in a way, because unfortunately the show tends to treat their relationship as an excuse to get like bad writing about bickering. A lot of the time, like they're usually just kind of arguing with each other about some small item, and this is a rare example of them being shown as a supportive couple to each other. Which I think
there's no anger or anything like that in this one at all. Like I agree. Usually they paint them in a bad light almost. Their relationship, but this actually shows the kind of like, oh, I get it now. This is why they're together kind of thing.
Right, and it's not like Keiko is just sort of pushed to the side, because when O'Brien comes home first, she's like, you're getting old. Like maybe you just can't do this. But then she is supportive at the end, so it's not like she's just the submissive, supportive wife to him. It's a good balanced relationship, and I think that her acting in it is actually pretty good. When he goes off to his final. When he's getting dressed and she's like dressing him like a samurai, and he goes off to play.
It's so funny.
It's a very good scene.
She did very well, yeah.
Let's see here. The outside of those two plot lines, I think that the episode works best as a character examination. The plot line, I don't think really holds up to it. And I was thinking that a way that I would improve the plotting of this is I would have tried to add more random events going on. And I don't know what your thoughts are. I'll kick it over to you just by saying that It's very difficult to demonstrate changes in probability outside of having characters say, I'm being very lucky today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They have scenes of like, well, I was looking through these thousands of files, and the first one I looked at was the one that I was looking at. It's like, I guess.
No, cool.
It's tough to, it's a tough idea, the idea of randomness being altered to demonstrate on screen in a way that's not just clunky on the nose dialogue. Did you notice that?
Yeah, it was all exposition based. Like they kind of explain everything that happened. I mean, he had Kira's machine, the computer that she's working on, all of a sudden crash and also lose the backups.
Yes,
which is probably the best representation of it, but it also is something that you can't really represent visually.
Yeah,
you have to explain everything that's happening there. And then she like falls over, doesn't she? As soon as she gets up or something like that, it's like, okay, so that's kind of fun. I liked the best representation of it was the scene with at the end with O'Brien and Bashir throwing the ball on the wall.
Yes, that's the best.
That was the best visual representation of what's going on.
Yes.
I think, but you can't get much of it.
I did. It was a little bit upsetting to see that Cole Meany is apparently, that was the first time he's ever thrown a ball. Apparently,
yeah.
That we could talk about that a little bit. I don't. It's throwing a ball is funny to me. It's one of those things that's like, if you don't learn it early enough, you just never seem to be able to do it properly. For some reason.
I mean, I feel like I would get in too much in my head about it if I was forced to throw a ball on camera.
Yes.
I don't think I could probably do it, honestly.
Have you ever
ball if I'm not thinking about it?
Have you ever filmed yourself walking? Like if you...
Oh, yeah, I have, and it's terrible. Like,
it's terrible.
What
All
do I
you're
do with my
doing...
hands? I don't know what to do with my hands.
If someone says, just walk this way on camera, as you do it, all you can think about is how unnatural it feels to be walking. You're like, wow, this is just...
It's like thinking about breathing. Yeah, it's not... You can't do it.
And not in a meditative sense. It's just like a very awkward sort of... like George Costanza kind of like, I can't get out of my own head way. But I think that the... where the hell did I think that the visual aspect of the ball was really strong. It makes intuitive sense to the audience that that's going on like that, and it's not. I personally thought that the people falling down as a sign of bad luck didn't make a lot of sense. Like people just kind of dinging themselves, falling over and hitting their head on the coffee table. But the ball was a very good examination of that, and I actually. It was so strong that I actually thought that Quark had rigged the racquetball court.
Oh yeah, that could be easily the reason as well. Like it seems like something that could. We already tried to fix the game once.
Yes.
So it's interesting that it was fixed in his favor without him doing anything.
By poisoning.
And that's what I mean. The whole con angle of it is you start looking at this episode as a con episode, and you start seeing cons everywhere that aren't even there sometimes.
Yeah, in addition to the con aspect of it, I rewatched it sort of in the background this morning, and they actually do a very good job of subtly placing in the fact that luck is changing. And they do it basically by people mentioning it, unfortunately, but it does start right from when he gets the ball. It comes down to things like he's like, oh, my luck is turning. And then Odo comes into the prison cell and is like, those people decided not to press charges. It's like, oh, it's all already starting to spin that way, which I didn't notice on my first watch through.
But really, if you think about what's going on here, that doesn't make any sense that it would happen. In the logic of the show, why would it affecting what neutrinos are around him spinning a certain direction affect whether or not the couple decides to press charges or not?
Right.
It doesn't make a lot of sense.
It has and I don't think I think that ties into, it doesn't have a lot of, it's not particularly clear, or maybe it is and I just missed it, why you would have good luck and then bad luck at the same, like...
Well, it's the way they explain it is that it kind of just perpetuates whatever luck you're having. So if the machine shows up as good luck, it's going to perpetuate good luck, and if it's showing bad luck, then it's going to perpetuate bad luck. So as he starts playing and he keeps losing it, it's producing more and more bad luck for him. It's just the neutrinos spinning a different direction than they were before, which doesn't make really a lot of sense why it would translate to bad luck.
Well, then why... But why, in that case, at the very end, everyone in the casino starts hitting jackpots. Shouldn't they be shouldn't it be like not 50-50 because the house always wins? Yeah. Yeah,
it would even out because they'd say, oh, well, all the small probability things are becoming more probable. And it doesn't make a lot of sense because you'd have, you have enough big enough timeline that it would also have the opposite effect. So I don't know.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
doesn't make a lot of sense.
yeah.
It's best not to think about it for an episode like this. Is especially the way they should just put a little warning on the bottom of the screen. It's best not to think about it.
Yes.
And then you'll just enjoy the episode, and it's fine then.
I think that's fair. I think that we're sort of nitpicking it, but I think that it's
Yeah.
an episode that isn't really built around that. It's more built around scenes like the one where O'Brien and Quark are talking to each other, which I don't think happens all that often.
Not very often. Yeah.
And that it feels very just Quark trying to be a El style bartender, like trying to actually listen to people's
That was
problems.
great. Yeah.
It's good bits.
Yeah, like
And-
he was trying to change his ways, trying to be more of a better listener. So he's like prodding him for more information. He's like, "Look, I'm listening, huh? I'm listening, right?"
Tell me your problems. I think that's the point. And the big thing that I take away from this episode is that it gave me a perspective of life on the station that I didn't really see. Even I think the nicest scene is actually, it's writing you don't see a lot, where Martis, or whatever the guy's name is, when he comes out of Quark's thing after talking to Quark for a little bit, he leaves the bar and he walks out onto the promenade, and O'Brien has to dodge O'Brien, who's running around the promenade. It's a nice way to tie the stories together in a believable and subtle way that you don't see on Star Trek a lot. And I just like moments like that. It's like
This had those little things like that. Yeah, it was good. It was good writing because it had those little moments like that. There's the scene where Bashir is talking to Dax about him not wanting to humiliate O'Brien, but then he can't find a single condiment thing that works for him, and that's another subtle luck thing that's going on right there, even because every single one he picks up does not work until he finally gets one that does.
Yep.
It's not even like addressed. It's not even like there's no it's just like little subtext to a scene that is just that's the moment I was like, okay, this is pretty well written because it's got that little thing going on there, something extra that you could totally disregard if you're not watching. If you're just listening to it instead of watching it, you would not get those little like subtext moments there.
Yes, I think that's the best way to sort of go about it. So I think we'll call it a day for the discussion angle there. We'll take a break and we'll play an audio clip. We'll come back with some patron thoughts, and then me and Modi will give our own thoughts about the rating of this episode, and we'll call it a day.
98% of the neutrinos in this room are rotating clockwise.
The games are open. We're not here to play, Dax.
100% clockwise. It's these machines.
Well, my gambling machines? What's wrong with them?
Somehow these machines are altering the laws of probability all over the station.
So that's what he meant.
Who?
The alien who gave me the original. He said it all came down to luck. That must be how it works. When you win, it makes you lucky. When you lose...
But these machines are affecting everyone on the station, whether they're playing them or not.
Impossible. You must be mistaken.
Wait a minute. You said there was an original machine.
Yes, a smaller one. When I opened the club, I replicated these larger
Larger versions.
All right, so time for patron thoughts. If you support the show at patreon.com/the File for any amount, you can leave comments about upcoming episodes and they'll get read on the podcast. So you can go to patreon.com/the File to support the show and get that done. So starting off with Holly McLaughlin, Rivals. This one is just pure fun. I'm a math nerd currently taking advanced stats, so I spent the entire episode reveling in fangirl nerd glee. It is I wonder if the magic aspect cancels out the probability aspect. Did you find that? Or like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if probability and bad luck ties into each other enough. Maybe.
Because probability isn't about luck. Probability is about like averages almost. Like it's not about probability doesn't have luck. It just has a chance of something happens, but it doesn't say it's good or bad luck. If it does happen, it's going to happen a certain percentage of the time.
Yeah.
So there's no luck in probability,
Right. And I think like if you I guess if something rare were to happen, you'd be lucky, but it's also lucky to have something that's likely to happen a bunch of I'm not
or
good
something
enough
very bad to happen to you is a lucky, because in probability there's an equal portion of good stuff that can happen to you, bad stuff that happen to you, and it is the exact same percentage of the time.
Right. So being very bad luck is actually lucky on some level.
Exactly.
Carrier mobility. I'll leave the math to you, Holly, though. Carrier mobility says Rivals. This was an episode I remembered loving as a younger lad. For years I remembered the line Dax utters about the neutrino spins that all align despite having even odds to spin in either direction. On second watch, however, the nostalgia I felt for this episode washed away almost immediately. The rivalry between O'Brien and Bashir seems incredibly forced. There's nothing in O'Brien's personality as presented so far that would suggest that he would get so violently bent out of shape over a game, even if it is pointing out his age. Once again, Star Trek can't help but grapple with the concept of growing older. I've never been more aware of this Trek trope than I have been while on this rewatch journey with you folks. The B plot, or is it the A plot? They're both equally bland. About the alien huckster is laughable at best. The actor playing the con man is hamming it up like a vaudeville villain so much that I'm convinced they must have originally written the role for Brent Spiner. Also, the wealthy widower mining scam setup from the female con woman is so obvious from frame one of the episode that it completely fails to surprise when he's taken in at the end. It leaves me questioning if the con man is truly having a round of bad luck or if he's just garbage swindler. Solid D of an episode, I'm sad to say. But yeah, that's true. We didn't talk about the widower aspect.
Yeah. She's running a very old con. Like, it's a very obvious con, and it's one you see in lots of different movies and films. Like,
yes. I didn't need the flip at the end.
I didn't need her to get caught either. I would just love to have just left it and that he got conned by this woman and nothing bad actually like on screen happens to him, but you just know it because it's obviously that she got him.
Yeah, it's kind of, the ending's kind of funny because it doesn't really, nothing really happens to that Martis, or I think his name is Martis, that Martis character. Like he kind of ends up where he started at the very beginning.
Yeah, he's locked up and he's going to get kicked off the station probably. But
yeah, he gets kicked off the station.
Anyways.
Quark just tells him to leave. It's like, well, okay. It's like, I was almost
Quark's
expecting...
giving him money too. He actually ended up ahead because Quark's going to give him some cash to leave. He wouldn't have had that before.
Yeah, right. It's like, I almost expected his bad luck to be so bad that it would be like a dark ending, but I guess that would fly in the face of the tone of the overall episode.
Yeah, it'd be a little change in tone there, yeah.
Nick Sergey writes, Rivals. Always good seeing character actor Chris Sarandon on screen. He is the ex-husband of Susan Sarandon, if people are wondering. And I love giving Quark a story like this. Still, it's kind of middle of the road. Some different opinions. Well, not too different, but a little bit of difference of opinion from the patrons here. Kyle Barrett writes, Rivals. A silly episode overall with the Lucky Balls plot and a really boring guest character, but it's all worth it for the O'Brien and Bashir scenes. Their chemistry is fantastic, and the racquetball game a lot of fun, especially with O'Brien's eye rolls and whatever that thing Bashir was wearing. I actually like the moment, it's pretty funny when the scene just starts with O'Brien on his back, and he's like, what happened? And Bashir says, you stepped on the ball. It's like a 1 in a million chance.
It was a 1 in a million thing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's a good show of the probability thing, and it's just like the complete ineptitude of O'Brien's game at that point. Like you'd step on the ball. Like that's what would happen to O'Brien.
And also the cheapest way to edit that because they didn't actually have to shoot him falling down or anything like that. They can just cut to it, and you get all the same implied action.
My biggest complaint is that there's no resolution to the racquetball game. We spend all that time with it, and they don't give us one last scene. Yeah. It's true, right?
Well, we know who won. I mean, it's pretty foregone conclusion who won that.
If O'Brien
It would have been fun to see O'Brien battle back, though, at a fair game, and all of a sudden O'Brien's winning again. That would have been kind of fun at the end.
If O'Brien wins, do the orphans not get blankets? Or the other way around?
No, it's the other way around.
Yeah, the other way around.
Because there won't be any profits as Bashir wins.
Okay, so I thought they were going to bring that in, so O'Brien would... Whoever needs to throw the game for the orphans to get blankets, basically, would be the way that I thought they'd have a discussion about that. They did not. Stephen Cobb says, Rivals, fun, silly episode. Good O'Brien-Bashir relationship. Bashir really leans into the arrogance, and O'Brien plays it off perfectly. Fun bit of physical acting from Bashir in the Replimat. He keeps getting up and checking all the salt shakers to find the one that works while he's talking to Dax. The A and B story come together nicely. It's true. Immunities, a sci-fi drama podcast now starting its second season, says, Rivals could definitely be better, but I found it fun. As well as a boost to the Bashir-O'Brien relationship, we get Keiko girding O'Brien for battle, a rare glimpse of the sort of thing that keeps them together, as opposed to just their problems. Absolutely, 100% agree. And lastly, Matthew Ross writes, Rivals, essentially light, meaningless fluff. A comedy bit with some dark undertones there reminds me of some of the other franchises' weird stuff of a Chaos box, Hey Babylon 5, you stole that one. But otherwise, it was a combination of the grifters and dirty, rotten scoundrels. Maybe Garrick made some money on the new suits. If Starbucks opened there, even a place as an homage to Battlestar Galactica, would Quark be in trouble? Maybe a Dave & Buster's would do it. I do wonder if they were trying to make Bashir and O'Brien Laurel and Hardy. Regardless, a light filler episode at best. A little bit of discrepancy in what the patrons think. What would you attribute that to, Modi?
I think it depends on what you want out of your Star Trek. If you want just kind of a fluffy episode, then I think this is going to fill that void for you. If you've watched several bad episodes in a row, like I have for your podcast, this is a refreshing change for me.
You're like, this is a 6 out of 5.
Yeah, it might be 6 for me.
I think that's pretty much it. I think that it is a filler episode that is how you respond to it is based on what you're looking for from an episode, sort of. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It is what it is, I suppose. I'll just leave it at that. So let's get to the ratings. Modi, what are you going to give this one on our 1 to 5 scale?
Oh gosh, I want to give it a 3, but I'm gonna give it a 4.
Okay,
because it really does. It really, again, I've watched so many bad episodes, and this is, it's written by someone who knows what they're doing with writing.
Yep.
Is what I would say. I mean, it's fine, aside from the bad, if you really think about it, ending, it doesn't make sense ending, but there's so many little things in it and little writing tricks that they do that I'm gonna give it a 4 just based on the funness of it.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna give it a 3. I think it's a pretty standard quality-wise episode of Star Trek. I didn't love it, didn't hate it. I wouldn't show it to anyone. That would be my 4 sort of definition. But I think that's
true. I would. I'll also show it to everyone.
I'm just gonna start tweeting about this episode nonstop.
You got to see this one.
It's fine. I don't go in expecting big things, and maybe it's pretty good. I like the character work. I like the O'Brien Bashir stuff. I like the racquetball game, and even Quark's storyline is fine. I would think that could be improved a little bit, but that's about it. Let's see here. So we've done the Patron feedback. You can go to patreon.com/the Pensky File if you want to support the show and do that. All the other social media links will be in the blurbs of the video description, blah, blah, blah. You can check out Modi's channel. I'll put a link to that as well. And outside of that, if you're a $10 captain tier, in addition to selecting what the general content that we talk about, you also get your name mentioned at the end of the episode. So big thanks go to Vincent Adultman, Stephen Cobb, Nathan Elliott, Ewan. I always mispronounce your name. I think I overthink how to pronounce Ewan. I just need to say Ewan McGregor, Ewan Tibbetts, Decker Sebastiani, Holly McLaughlin, Neil Brennan, Carrier Mobility, Doug Valkamp, Michael Pond, Bradley Killens, Rune Vendler, Jay Stanley, Mike Burnett, Matthew Ross, Ben Douglas, Kyle Barrett, Joint Mango, Tarek Latif. Modi, do you know any Ewans out near you?
I don't know any Ewans.
No,
Sorry.
I think it's just a name that doesn't come across to America very frequently. So I always screw up the pronunciation. I apologize for that. Anyway, Modi, you have anything you want to say before we can go to non sequiturs, if you have one, if you're familiar with this aspect of the show where we wrap up each episode with a sort of nonsense small discussion point.
Let's do it.
Do you have anything that you want to kick off?
I've been playing an Android game called Gumballs and Dungeons, it seems like a clicker game at first, but it's actually a pretty deep roguelike. And I'm really enjoying it. It's been obsessive for me right now. I don't know why. And it's the rare kind of free-to-play game that doesn't ever really want you to spend money on it. You'd actually have to find a way to spend money on it, honestly.
Made by millionaires, funded by millionaires who just want to give people... What's it called? Gumballs and
Dungeons. I think it's a Japanese or Chinese game. But it's English. Its English translation's fine. And it's actually pretty fun.
I kind of need a phone game. I guess I should check that out at this point. To keep it on game related, I guess it would just be I made it like halfway through Breath of the Wild and just kind of stopped, which is an interesting thing. I think Breath of the Wild is a really good. It's a new Zelda game on the Switch. I think it's a really good game. I just have as I get older, I hit a point now with games where I'm like, that's enough. That's enough of this. Like and there's so much to do in Zelda that I don't want to keep doing it anymore. I did, like 50% of it, and I'm like, that's enough. I don't really want to do this anymore. So that's
just finish it out wherever you're at. Just plow through. Don't do any of the side stuff. You could probably, if you really do it, you can probably finish the game without really getting anything else. Yes. As long as you've gotten the big 4 things done.
Yep.
You could probably finish it and just at least finish it out. You'll feel better about yourself.
I should. Yeah, I'll beat Ganon and call it a day. I think it's But that's a kind of interesting aspect of the games where I am now. Where like people always want the games to be longer. I'm like, no, just keep it 10 to 15 hours is fine for me. I'm happy with that. Let's see here. That's it, guys. Thank you very much for listening. Modi, thanks for coming on.
Anytime.
And we will see you next time with The Alternate. See you then.